Hey everybody, boy, what a mess we have going on in downtown Cleveland and parts beyond. Now here's the forecast through the rest of the night. And keep in mind, this is the numbers for downtown Cleveland and lakeshore areas. If you go farther to the south, temperatures are a little bit colder. So we're going to prolong this icy mix. But for right now, you can see that the icy mix still definitely shows up in the forecast. This will continue as we go through the overnight hours. Now I know everybody's talking about school closings. What are the school closing chances? Well, keep in mind, we don't make those determinations. And believe me, the principals and the superintendents do not listen to us, except just to know what the forecast is going to be. That being said, based on past experience, there's been a lot of it for me. I'll tell you, I think areas west have the best chance right now, about a 60% plus chance of school closings tomorrow. You get into this middle area, and this is where it's really iffy, everybody. I hate to tell you that. It's a 50-50 shot. This is completely dependent upon the road crews. Temperatures are going to be fine for road salt to work. The question is, can the road continue to be salted through the night? And the road crews are really going to be up against it as we go through the overnight hours. Farther to the south, just rain, not expecting much in the way of any icing, so we're going to put a pretty low chance for the school closings there. What a pretty picture we paint on the radar tonight. We have the entire mixed bag of precipitation in northeast Ohio. Snow to the west, sleet and freezing rain throughout a big chunk of the area, and then farther south, just rain showers. We are starting to hear some reports of icing that's already occurring. David Neal, one of my Twitter followers, said that over toward Polk, which is in Ashland County, they have already gotten a coating of ice on a lot of surfaces. Matt Wentz reported from out on the east side that there is a coating of ice on surfaces, so we know we are already getting some icing on many elevated surfaces. The roads are a little bit different story, though, because the roads, of course, have been seeing sunshine today that heats them up, but they also have a little bit of heat coming at them from the bottom. So all that said, we are seeing just a little bit of rain and freezing rain in downtown Cleveland at this point, maybe some sleet mixing in there from time to time. I'm not really seeing any accumulations on the roads or the berms as of right now, but again, this is directly on the lakeshore. We go farther west out toward Port Clinton. What a mess. This is sleet and freezing rain. This is a yucky, yucky, yucky road surface. This is the Bay Bridge that crosses over from Sandusky area up toward Port Clinton there on Route 2, and you can see this thing is just iced up. So it is a nasty night out there west. Toledo is a disaster right now as far as the roads go. Meanwhile, farther south into South Akron down around Arlington Road, you can see the roads are wet. It's still falling, the rain is, but we may see a little sleet mixing in at times with some of that freezing rain. And then out to the east side, this is at the Euclid Spur. This is where we're getting that freezing rain and sleet mix at this point. You can kind of see the haze here. That's the precipitation that's falling. But as far as the road surfaces, we're still not getting anything on the highways. On the highways, keep in mind, bridges and overpasses will be the first thing that we have problems on tonight. Let's expand the picture a little bit. You can see the back edge of this round of this wintry mix is coming in, but there's more out here to the west, and that will start to fill in as we go through the night tonight. But all in all, things are right on track for where we expected to be. Findlay, by the way, which is out on I-75, they have an icy mess there too. You can see the sleet that has accumulated here, but we're also getting that sleet and freezing rain on the roadways. But they had the sun just like we did for a little while today, so their road surfaces are also up. But the road surfaces are cooling. All of this is coming at us at night. That is the worst part of it because everything is in cooling mode after the sun sets. 26 right now in Toledo. Remember the icy mess on Route 2? 26. That's the big difference. It's 31 in downtown Cleveland, so any sleet and freezing rain will be freezing on contact. Meanwhile, farther south, temperatures still well into the mid-30s. Just to remind everybody how all of this goes down, let me get my little cart out of here. We do have different types of precipitation falling, and it's all because of different things happening in the atmosphere. If the entire column of the atmosphere vertically is below freezing, we have snow. The snowflakes fall, they don't melt, nothing changes, we end up getting them. Now, depending on the humidity and the temperature, we'll get different types of snowflakes. That changes things a little bit, but it's all ice crystals that are falling. Once we get into where we get some mixing taking place, that's where things get a little interesting. So what happens with sleet? We'll have snowflakes fall, they melt, they hit a warm layer, and then those little raindrops freeze into little ice cubes. And the little ice cubes fall, that's sleet. You'll literally see those little sleet pellets. They look like little ice cubes. Freezing rain is different. Freezing rain means there's a longer melting period for those snowflakes. So the snowflakes fall, they melt into raindrops. It stays liquid, and in many cases, like tonight, super cool liquid, which is a big deal. And then it freezes on contact. That's the glazing that we get. That's freezing rain. And then, of course, rain is liquid all the way down, doesn't freeze on contact. So we have this whole scenario setting up all across northern Ohio tonight. We still want you to focus on the impacts. Don't worry about how much or any of that, because it doesn't take a lot to really mess things up. So we have snow to the icy mix tonight, and most of this has come in as icy mix. So we're already seeing some changes in the forecast, but everything is still pretty much on track with the icy mix. The impact scale is about a 6. This is because the road temperatures are still pretty warm. If the road temperatures were down at about 30 degrees or so, we'd be in disaster mode. So we're not there. But that being said, we'll still have some impacts, especially on elevated surfaces. If you park your car outside, be prepared to scrape ice. You are going to have plenty of it to scrape. Also be advised that your porches and steps and decks, any of those elevated surfaces that you might walk on, or untreated sidewalks or untreated driveways, that could be slick and slippery too tomorrow morning when you step out the door. Through the day tomorrow then, once the sun comes up, even though the sun is obscured by cloud cover, that still changes the way the atmosphere works a little bit. We have a little extra heat that's coming in. So we have the icy mix, but late day, all of this cold air starts to rush in, and that will change the mix over to snow. So we have an impact scale at 7 for a couple different reasons. One, we're still dealing with the icy mix in the morning. Now you throw a lot more people on it, and that starts to slow things down a little bit. But we'll still have some periods of freezing drizzle potentially tomorrow and sleet, and then eventually it changes to snow. And then by Thursday night into Friday, we have a couple more inches of snow that's coming our way. Talk about a hot mess, right? Here's the big picture. You can see the snow to the north of us. They're expecting 2 to 5 inches of snow in southern portions of Michigan. You get into Toledo area, 2 to 5 inches of snow, and then there's that mix that's developing across much of northern Ohio. Farther south, they've been dealing with severe weather throughout the day today, and then back here into Texas and Oklahoma, that's kind of the next wave. We have kind of 1, 2, 3 punch that's coming with this, so that's the one that would be coming in once we get into Friday. So winter storm warnings, kind of fading away here in the deep south. Then the winter weather advisories obviously continue, and that continues out to the east as well, with winter storm warnings posted in northern New England. A little closer to home, just to remind you, we do have a winter weather advisory. It goes all night through 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. For now, we may see that extended. We could see it changed. It all depends on how things develop as we go through the night. So let's take a quick peek at an updated hour-by-hour forecast. Literally once an hour, we're starting to get new, fresh data in, so things are mechanically changing a little bit on us. But we'll continue to have this icy mix. Now, I know you're not seeing a lot going on here, but believe me, we'll still have freezing drizzle. We'll still have the chance for some sleet to come through time to time. But in the early morning, notice that the air temperatures are coming just above freezing. Now, keep in mind, we're right on the bubble here, okay? 1 or 2 degrees on either side of freezing. It makes a really big difference in this case, and fine-tuning these exact little numbers is extremely difficult. But in the grand scheme of things, this is 10 o'clock in the morning. We still have freezing precipitation coming down, 29 Sandusky, 36 in Dover. That's why Dover and Tuscarawas and Carroll counties don't have a winter weather advisory, because their temperatures are expected to be warm enough. They'll predominantly have rain. All right. By afternoon, we're still dealing with pockets of freezing drizzle. Look at the snow that continues out to the west of us. And then eventually tomorrow night, the cold air comes in aloft, and that will start to charge up the snow chances once we get into early Friday. All of that then kind of combines with some more moisture coming at us from a south on an east coast storm system. And look at this. Friday afternoon could get really interesting for us as the lake kicks in some extra moisture. And I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting a few inches of snow on Friday on the back end of this whole icy mix mess. So let's just take a look at the potential snow versus ice. There's our snow, all right? This is where the heaviest snow is going to be. But this ice potential lines up right over most of northeast Ohio. So all snow, snow and sleet, sleet and freezing rain, Freezing rain and rain? Rain. How about that for a forecast, right? You nail it down to the square mile. It's a little bit tricky, but all of this kind of continues to ooze, okay, as this is developing. So this could shift north, it may shift south. We may see it linger a little bit longer, but right now it's this pink area that we are really focusing in on. If we get closer, there's 3 words that you have to remember: nuisance, disruptive, and crippling. This is the ice potential, okay? We have just nuisance amounts of freezing rain. Yeah, you're gonna have to scrape your car. It's probably not gonna really ruin your day, not slow you down much, just one of those things you're gonna have to remember. Disruptive ice, which is a good chunk of the area, now you're talking about, all right, I'm really gonna have to pay attention when I'm walking. I'm really gonna need some extra time to scrape the ice off of my car. If I don't have to go out, do I really need to? That's when you have to start making decisions for yourself. Crippling, you stay home. We don't have to worry about that. I do not think this is a crippling ice storm for us. Farther east, maybe, but for us, nah. So here's the things to remember with this, okay? A 1/4 inch or less of ice. Those of you who love numbers, I know there's lots of you. So 1/4 inch or less of ice, nuisance. This is your windshields are coated. Bridges, overpasses get slick, and there could be some light icing on trees. You'll start to see your pine trees drooping a little bit. Once we go over a 1/4 inch of ice, now things get a little bit more serious. Tree limbs really start to sag. We may have tree limbs breaking as they're settling down on power lines. A lot of the roads will be icy unless they're not treated, and that's when we could also get some power outages. So we're right on the cusp of this nuisance versus disruptive. As we'll probably end up with a couple 1/10 of an inch of ice in some locations. All right, let's talk a little bit more about how this forecast is going to be going down. This thing is not clicking for me. Here we go. Now it's going to click and it's going to bring me this one. So just to give you a reminder of how this is going to go out, we've got temperatures that are rising and a lot of us will start to get into this rain, but it will end up being freezing rain that we get in a good chunk of Northeast Ohio, okay? So just to put a little bit of a cap on it for everybody. I have my little handy dandy podium here, a little sneakiness. And I just want to show you one more graphic because I do think it is kind of important. We'll pop it up here for you. This is kind of the grand finale, okay? The focus on the impacts. This is what we're asking you to do. I know everybody's talking about ice, and as soon as you say ice, people start to freak out. This is nothing we haven't dealt with before. Get your ice scrapers ready, watch for slick spots on the roads, and yes, we could have some school closings and delays. That's the latest. That's all I can tell you. The data still continues to pour in. I'm going to be looking at that now between now and 11 o'clock, and of course we'll give you the very latest tonight on what's next at 11. We'll see you then.